Hello, everybody. Hello, Christopher Shug. What's going
Hello.
on, buddy?
No, not much. I don't know. I feel like we started this off correctly and professionally, and I think we need to take a moment of silence.
Episode 88, baby. We got it. Woo!
Hey guys, welcome to the episode. I don't even know. I'm stunned. Everything went off well. Before we move on, I guess big shout out to our patrons. Any of you guys who support the channel through just being here or doing the whole sponsorship
our
thingy.
YouTube member as well. Don't forget.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. That thing that I and super chats and all those things. We just appreciate it all, guys. Alex VR. Oh my God, we got royalty in chat. Hey buddy, how's it going? Yeah, we want to kick things off here like we always do. We're gonna get into a few of the things that we've been dabbling with in VR here, and then we'll get on to the topic at hand. Ryan, what
So I'm going to
have you
quickly
been
touch
playing?
upon. I actually have been dabbling with UEVR. I can't talk about it yet because I've been struggling with it. But I am dabbling with it. So hopefully the next few weeks we'll be covering that a little more in depth. I'm pushing Chris to do it as well. But besides UEVR stuff, I dove back into Foglands of all things. The game itself has been updated a lot since I first reviewed it. I think last August, September, something like that. And that game came out to very mixed reception. Negative, I guess, more often than not. I think my review is one of the more positive ones. I think I gave it a 6.5, maybe a 6. Can't remember exactly. Had a lot of issues at launch, but I kind of powered through and I got past some of them. Anyways, in that time, the devs have apparently fixed a bunch of things. So I had time. This week's releases kind of stink. So I dove back into Foglands to check it out on the PSVR 2. And I'm happy to report they did fix a lot of issues that the game had. That being said, from what I played, it still kind of felt like the same game. For those that are curious, they did address some gunplay mechanics. There was a slow motion mechanic in the game that was basically broken, where whenever the game went to slow motion, your gun it was almost like a rubber arm. So the second you fired your first shot, it would go brrr, and you could never fire a follow up shot. And the fact it released like that is ridiculous because I don't know how it's like whatever they sort of fixed that. It works much better now, but every now and then it still does the rubbery arm thing, which is weird, but it is, I mean, compared to what it was, it's much better. They apparently improved AI, which I didn't really see much of. I only played through one run, just a heads up, but there I didn't, it's kind of, it felt like the exact same game. It honestly didn't feel like too much had changed really overall. One of the weirdest things they did change, for those that remember this, is that the area it's a roguelike, so every time you go back into this dungeon, the whole map changes up, right? So then there's these transition rooms where every time you go into a transition room, the game would kind of like the frames would stutter for a second or two, but then it would keep going, right? It was jarring in VR. It was definitely it definitely kind of took you back. Well, their solution to that was basically to provide a black screen instead of a frame transition, like a drop in frames. And the black screen is honestly probably more jarring than the drop in frames because it happens if you're cruising through some of these maps, and which you can, some of the, because it's random, you'll go through room to room to room and there won't be an enemy in sight. So you're just basically sprinting through these things. So you hit like a back to back like transition area and it's black screen. It's only like a second, or maybe two at the most. It's quick, but when it happens, it's jarring. So anyways, I guess my bottom line here, I don't want to talk about this game forever, is if you can find our review for Foglands on this channel, if you are curious about the game, like I said, they fixed a few things in that for my review, but my review still holds up as far as my thoughts on this game from what I've played so far. They did fix some issues. It definitely is a better game than what it was. That being said, I think the fixes were needed, not necessarily making the game like it doesn't change my score, I guess is what I'm saying. I gave it a 6.5, somewhere in there, and I'm not changing my score based upon what I played because it still kind of feels the same game. It still feels a little bit janky, a little bit unpolished, better in some ways, but in some ways kind of worse. So that's my 2 cents on Foglands and how it stands today.
So, I was playing around with Tropico, and I'll give Ryan half a second here to put a trailer up for that.
I'm on it. Oh, I didn't download it. Oh, I got it.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, I'm gonna still talk
Shut
about it. It's not gameplay footage. I mean, it's not my gameplay footage. It's pretty much just trailer footage. Because I'm not on top of the ball today. Things got busy. But I will talk a little bit about this. I was originally going to do a review for Tropico. whether it was just a full-length review or a quickie review on the channel, which are never quick, but if you watch them, you know what I mean.
Yours aren't quick.
However, I did want to comment on it. Look, I feel like Tropico VR is exactly what we were talking about in last week's episode, in the fact that it's just not a game that should have come to the current Quest hardware. I felt the same way about, we talked a little bit about City Skylines, or Cities, whatever they call it in VR. And also, it also reminded me of a game that I also dabbled with on the Quest. I'm gonna totally script the name of it. It was something Aspera. For those of you, it was a flat game that was ported to VR, and it was kind of
Aspera.
It was a Mars builder.
Yeah, I remember the game. I remember the name.
Right? Now, I would say that game was the worst at what I'm about to talk about. But it's the same problem I have with all of these God games that are on VR, or at least these ones that are flat games that are ported over to VR, and the fact that you lose so much more than you gain by going into VR in these games. Because, yeah, it'd be amazing to be able to, like, look over your kingdom in VR in this God view and be able to go down to city view and then actually, like, feel like what it's like to live on the streets that you are lording over. But, I mean, when you're down in street view, the game is so ugly that it's not immersive. It doesn't look great. All you do is see that it looks like a PSVR 2 game. But more importantly, and this is my issue that Ad Aspera had, was that when you start to pull out far enough so that you can actually get a view of kind of your whole cityscape, the detail drops off so much. And in some ways, the pop-in is so bad that it pops out, that you're losing so much detail that it's like, why? I'm losing so much more than I was when I was playing this a flat game. Now, from what I've heard, for those of you who might be fans of the series, Tropico VR on the Quest is the first Tropico. So I think they're on Tropico 6 now. This is, I think, Tropico 1 with all the DLC. So depending on if you're a fan of the series, I mean, it just doesn't have any of the stuff where the game went. It's your basic city builder, and with the attitude the Tropico series has. So you're kind of like a dictator, right? And I think it's supposed to be kind of like, well, I won't go there, but the idea of it is that you're pretty much building up your little city empire, building roads, buildings, and then running the economy as well, and getting tourism to go through there. So that's the general rule of the game. But I just feel like the visuals just let the whole thing down. Control wise, it works all right. I mean, I always think that these types of games work well as a stopgap between consoles and controllers and mouse and keyboards, which tend to work much better for these types of games. It's nice to be able to have full control in VR to reach and grab and place and drop and spin and zoom, and then usually you bring up your builder on one hand. That stuff all works out great here. It's just that it's just really falls apart in the visuals. And so I can't recommend it based solely on that. And I just feel like you gain nothing from playing this in VR. This is what I was talking about last episode. This game in VR, cool idea. I want to play Tropico in VR. I don't want to play it on this headset. It either needs to wait till we get to a further powered Quest, or it needed to be ported to PC and PSVR. Anyway.
Yeah, it seems to be the story for those kind of games for sure.
It doesn't work for me.
All right, and then we're going to move on here. I played Mixture as well for the PSVR 2. The embargo is up now. The game doesn't release till next week. So I get a chance to dabble with that. You like that? So I dove into Mixture, and once again, for those of you that do care, I actually reviewed this game on the Quest. When it first dropped on the Quest 2, last year? Maybe even the year before that? No, last year, I think. I enjoyed it. Actually, thought it was kind of like a relatively clever Moss clone. Takes a bit to get going, but once it does, it's a wonderful mix of like mixing your because you're as a first person player yourself, you're like a god who has to like mix these chemicals to like age your little like moss being. It's actually a moth. This warrior being, and you kind of just take it through very, very moss. It's very mossy, I guess, just to summarize the overall game. So with it coming to the PSVR 2, I was hoping for kind of not a huge visual upgrade, but given the power of a PSVR 2 over a Quest 2, I was kind of hoping for a bump, because one of the things I did hold the game back from is it was very stark looking, like more like geometric shapes stitched together to make up characters in the environment. lacking a lot in the way of texture details. And that's still not really here. They added a few things like dynamic shadows in some stages, in some areas. They look a little bit like they're pixelated though. It's kind of a weird. They look like they don't match. Like they're more pixelated than anything else in the game, so it stands out. And there is more textures. They've definitely added a few things here and there. Some small lighting effects, but not enough for me to be like, wow. Like it still felt like I was playing the exact same game. And that includes all the confusion. Like there's like headset tracking to like, look where you want to throw things. That's pretty finicky still. It was finicky on the Quest version as well. So I'm not going to say, it's too bad the PSVR 2 didn't utilize eye tracking, seeing as how that's in the headset. It seems like a huge missed opportunity for a game that essentially uses looking as a major mechanic. But outside of that, like I said, once again, for those that are curious, if you find my original review, the game is identical other than some slight touch-ups to the visuals, but it's not a dramatic leap. If you're into the games like Moss, then this is probably worth a pickup. But if you're on the fence or waiting for like a significant upgrade from the Quest 2 version, it's not really there, sadly. It's basically the Quest 2 version with just a smidge better looking, but just a smidge.
Just a smidge. There you go.
Just a smidge. Ryan
from the VR Grid. Just a smidge. So I wanted to talk about the last game that I wanted to talk about was a game that it's going to surprise everybody here. I'm positive about. Oh my god! And that is Figmin. Figmin. I think it's just called Figmin.
That's what the trailer says. It says just Figmin.
Yeah, just Figmin. And I don't know if that's supposed to be a figment of my imagination. I don't know, but I will say I was recommended me. I know it was recommended. I don't know if Gilman's in chat here, but Gilman recommended this game to me when we were playing Helldivers of all things, and I'm always on the lookout for cool mixed reality stuff for the Quest 3, and I think it's really unfortunate that, and I don't know, I feel like we said this before, but I feel like I still think the Quest 3, like the Quest 2, was brought to market quicker than some people anticipated. And I think that's evident in the fact that most of the cool mixed reality stuff, like I think the coolest mixed reality experiences, with the exception of a few, are all on App Lab. They're not even on the main store yet. So
Figmin isn't the main store game, is what you're saying?
No, it's on App Lab.
Cool.
It feels a little early accessy in some ways, but let me tell you what Figmin is. If I had to sell it to someone, my little quick elevator pitch is it's kind of like a VR chat for mixed reality. Like it's a creator program. I mean, kind of like a Rec Room, I guess, as well, you could argue, right? And it has creative tools built into it. You can create like shapes and effects, and you can animate things with your hands, and then the thing will do the thing. So you can create animations in real time. But it's also like I'm just scratching the surface of this because I've pretty much only played with the library of uploaded content, and that's one of the things that's awesome because like people can create and share. And
the trailer looks impressive. Seeing what's on display, this game actually looks really impressive.
It is really cool, and there are some things in here that blew my freaking mind. Now, what's really cool about this is that, I mean, some of the complaints that say, just getting back to another creative show and tell game with Dreams on the PSVR. One of the biggest problems that people had with that is it was difficult to import anything that wasn't Dreams, and you couldn't export your creations so that people could play them outside of that ecosystem. And so it also kind of didn't encourage anybody that was looking to make money on creating anything, whether it be a demo of a game or whatever. And obviously this is not a game creator, but it is a game, or it is an app, I guess, that absolutely makes it really easy. Like it has a browser built right into it. So if you want to import 3D models from various programs, now again, I've only scratched the surface and I can't speak to like what programs it all works with, but I know you can import 3D models in addition to what you create in game. I know you can import videos. I've seen that. Like people have imported YouTube videos. Like there were like XR dance sessions where music was playing, like a music video from a YouTube clip, and then the whole world was like a dance floor, and it was like in my room, and it was like pulsing lights. It has real-time light sourcing, so you can create shadows in mixed reality. You can mess with light sources and and place lights in your spaces. Like there was one app that I played with. It was just a mixed reality flashlight, and you could hold it and you could shine it around your space and it would shine light. Like
That's cool.
Like VR light source in your real-time room. And there's tons of little crap like that that people have uploaded and you can play with. Like just tons. Like, and just playing with real world physics too. It'll scan your room. You can set, like a lot of these apps, you can tell it like, that's my bed, that's my table, that's a window, that's a door, and floor, ceiling, whatever. And so like you can have balls bouncing off and rolling off your bed, like playing with the physics engine. But I would say the one thing that I messed around with and it blew my mind. It takes so much these days, Ryan, to make me go, holy crap. And what it was is one of the applications, external applications that you can import stuff is Tilt Brush. So you can create worlds in Tilt Brush. Like there's 3D picture frames that you can do, and you can like look right into the world of the picture frame. But this specific thing that I downloaded, somebody had created a archway, and so my example of this would be for anyone who's familiar with Star Trek and the holodeck. It was pretty much like when they say arch. It created a door. And I had it made a door in my living room, and I could walk around like one side of the door, and it was just kind of, and all I would see would be like, it was like an arch, and I would see through, and like, there's my fireplace. All right. So then I'd go around the other way, which would be the entrance of the archway. And in it, I could see that there was a complete VR world inside this archway. And so I physically walked through this archway and into from my living room, walked into the archway and walked into this VR space that somebody had completely drawn in Tilt Brush, and it looked amazing. Like it looked like you were walking into this amazing oil painting. And I was like, it had music running, and the music only played when you walked into it. And there were things you could look at and things you could kind of interact with. And I would like look backwards, and out through that archway was the real world, my living room.
That's cool.
I started showing this to friends and family, and this is probably not safe, but the game was also ignoring the scanned limitations that I had.
Nice.
But that was really cool because I had someone hold my hand, and obviously they didn't have a headset on, but they held my hand as I continued to walk deeper into the world. And I started walking down the hallways of my house, and I walked further into this spaase. And
That's
I
cool.
looked back, and there's my wife waving at me like 30, 40 feet away down at the archway. And I was just like,
yeah, that's wild, man.
And so this game is still an app lab. It's still early access, but this game, man, I hope it catches fire. I want to play a lot more.
Well, now that we've talked about it, of course it will.
It's worldwide release. But I think it was like $20, guys, and I cannot recommend it enough if you're interested in mixed reality content to mess around with, because like the creation tools, I mean, yeah, you can create till your heart's content, and I've barely scratched the surface of that. Like I said, like there's a suite of creative tools, but just the fact that you can go into the Discover tool and just like upload and play with all the things.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it can be as simple as a bouncing ball, or like I don't even know what it's called. What do they call those ball boards? You know, where you bounce the little rubber ball on the board,
ping pong ball thing. I don't know.
Sure, that's not what it's called, but that thing,
ball on a stick. I don't know.
It can be as simple as something like that, or it can be like
paddle ball.
Yeah, paddle ball. There we go.
I know things.
You do know things. A few minutes to get there. I never got there, and but it can also be like entire rooms that people have created. I mean, there was one that was really cool. It was one of the top recommended things because I sorted it by popularity, and it was a giant globe of the Earth, and it's spinning. It's got, and you could zoom in and you could hit it. So these things are all interactable, and you could hit it and it would spin. And then I noticed, I was like, what the hell was that? And I was like, the moon was orbiting it. And I like grabbed the moon and I like kind of popped it away, and it like bounced off into my room. And then it slowly started to pull back into orbit because it was like, it was affected by the gravity of the moon. Cool.
That's cool.
Just cool shit to play with. Can't recommend it enough.
No, I'm gonna check that out. Honestly, this trailer and what you said is actually like, I love. Like I said, this is one thing I guess that Cube was missing, is the fact that you just can't access user created content. I know this is not the same thing, but
excuse me, it's Sayub.
I know, right? But the fact that like you have a playground. Because I mean, like, even Dreams is another example where Dreams I tried. I spent 10 hours trying to learn how to do stuff in Dreams, and then I just gave up. The creative juices in me just aren't there. But the ability to play other people's creations, people that are much more talented than myself, that's awesome. That's exciting. And that, like I said, $20 sounds like a deal for what is essentially endless amounts of pretty impressive VR content. So that's cool. I like that.
I'm just excited. I mean, the one thing that the Quest 3 has gotten me excited about is mixed reality stuff. I still think it's, I hate to say it, I still think it's kind of gimmicky. Like,
but this kind of stuff kind of makes it way less of a gimmick, man. Like this
is neat. This is really, really neat, innovative shit. And it's obviously endless content because it's going to keep creating. And this is what I'm saying. I want to draw attention to this because I want all these talented people to come in and start making really cool stuff because like it's got that
entertain us nerds.
Well, it is. But it's got that same kind of draw as for, I mean, I can't say for me, but for VR chat, is that you can bring people along with you as well. You can multiplayer supposedly, and you can go and you can both go kind of share and explore things. And so that is kind of like, well, check this out, check that out. That's kind of cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it just, I love that type of stuff.
All right, now segue into our topic. Go.
No. I have to eat.
You son of a. All right. So this does bring us to our topic of choice. In surrounding, I guess, many of the rumors surrounding the Quest 3 Lite or the Quest 3S, as it's now been known based upon leaks, and then I guess the rumor mill surrounding, obviously the PSVR 2 and its halted production, and some of the pure internet speculation that there's a chance that they've halted production because there's a potentially a version 2 of the headset coming out. Not like a full-on sequel. It's not like a PlayStation VR 2 Pro. I wouldn't think. You never know, I guess. But more like how the the PSVR 1 had the PSVR 1, like the Custover 1 and Custover 2, the version 2, that actually had some changes and modifications to the headset that kind of just made it a little bit more user friendly. So we want to kind of just talk about I guess, the Quest, the demand for cheaper headsets in regards to VR and what that means, and specifically around these two headsets, or potential headsets, and whatever else, because I think there's a serious conversation to have here around making this stuff cheaper, and its impact upon the quality of your VR experience, which I think personally, just what we know about the Quest 3S, I think it's probably a bad idea, in my opinion. We'll cover this more deeper, but I think it's a bad idea to release a cheaper headset in the current market, I guess, standalone market. It doesn't make sense to me, considering what's out there in regard to the Quest 2 is still being sold in stores. You can still get a Quest 2 today, right now, from any vendor, or a Quest 3, and I think they stopped selling the Pro though, right? I think the Quest Pro is officially off the market, but still supported, I think.
I think so. I think so. I want to talk about. I figure we should address maybe each individually.
For sure, yeah.
I feel like they're actually incredibly different situations.
Yes,
there's obviously overlap. I think price point, but I feel like what people want out of, like, let's just, without getting into it deep, because let's start with the Quest. But I do think that, like, when we look at the next iteration of the Quest 3, like as a Quest Lite, I think most people are looking at it from like cost. Cheap. I want it cheap. I want it cheaper. Easier. I want it easier on my pocketbook. I mean,
the rumors are between $200 and $300 American.
Right. And I want to talk about that price point. But I do think that is the main topic of discussion when people talk about a Quest 3 or Lite, a Quest 3 Lite, and why they feel like it should be exist, is because it's the Quest 3 is more expensive than the Quest 2, and the Quest 2 was very aggressively priced to sell, to try to get as high adoption rates as possible. Whereas on the PSVR 2, the idea of a version 2, I think more people start looking at it. Yes, price is a constant topic around that, and so we'll get into that. But I think a lot of people start looking at features they want to add to the PSVR 2 rather than what they're willing to lose on the PSVR 2 V2. So
which one do you want to cover first?
I think we should talk about the Quest, because I feel like that's kind of where you were just organically going. Let's put it, I want to talk about the Quest, I guess, first, because out of both of these headsets, the Quest 3 Lite seems like it's actually happening. Like everything that we
Yeah.
have, everything that we've seen, there's some pretty strong
Like,
rumors.
people, not even rumors, man. Meta confirmed this. I swear to God, 2 years ago, before they even announced the Quest 3, they had already mentioned their plan, their plan for the next 3 or 4 years in regards to Quest releases. And I'm 99% sure they actually confirmed like the Quest Pro, followed by the Quest 3, followed by like a Quest Lite. They already so. I think some of these people claiming that they're like confirming rumors are actually just kind of confirming what Oculus or Meta already confirmed. That being said, besides that and the leak that happened, I think a month or two ago, which was just kind of like a potential for the headset. Nothing else is really known at all about this thing at all, as far as what lenses are or what's inside. Like, I mean, I think that the same processor, I think is rumored. The same processor as in the Quest 3. So the Snapdragon XR2, I believe is what it is.
So because, I mean, if they want to get the price down, I mean, the number one way to get the price down is going to be like just like through methods of production. It's going to be mass production, and so sticking with some consistencies of with the original Quest 3 so that they can just get the price down that way makes a lot of sense. I do want to just quickly shout out to Waleed there, who gave us a super chat. Waleed, it's awesome. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
Absolutely, man.
That little pat on the back. It definitely is awesome of you. So thank you for that. Back to the Quest situation. I mean, I feel like we have to address the fact, because I just like to be fully transparent. Like, you guys know that we're part of the Meta partner program,
Creator program.
That thing. We've said it before. I'll just reiterate it. Like, this is the revised program. They do not tell us what we can and cannot talk about. They don't dictate anything, and we would never have been a part of it if that was the case. That being said, if we knew something about a Quest 3 Lite, we couldn't talk about it, but I can tell you they haven't talked about it. Like, I can state that as far as any official news goes, we know nothing more than what we've been able to dig up in the rumor mill. But I do think that every indication is that there's going to be a Quest 3 Lite to try to go like rock bottom on the price. I've made this comment in the past. I'm of two minds of price. I don't know how you feel with this, Ryan, but like, part of me, of course, a cheaper Quest to be able to get more VR in more hands is awesome. But at the same time, I don't like the precedent that Meta sets, because they take a loss on these headsets because they want your data. That's like all they care about. Like, they're not in it just for making profits on games like Sony is, and like other headset manufacturers are. Like, they're not just out there trying to make dollars on the hardware and software.
I'll stop you there, cut. I'm not disagreeing with you, because obviously this is still Facebook. We know what Facebook does with data. I'm not dismissing that, because you're not wrong. But I don't think that's all they want. I think there is
all they want. But what I'm saying is, there's
you literally just said that, so that's why I wanted to cut in.
Well, okay, and then I tried to diversify that answer by saying that it's not just hardware and software sales. So you're right. I didn't mean that that's all they wanted, but they have other profit streams attached to selling you a headset. And I think it's important to remember that yeah, there's some ulterior motives there that make selling you a headset, more advantageous of them. I mean, not to get too Black Mirror on your ass, but it's like they want your data, as you would say. And anyways, I don't like the precedent that it sets, because then, like, when we see the PSVR 2 come out and it's going for a more like an actual price point, that when you start to add up just the cost of building it, yeah, they're trying to make a small profit off this thing, like. Mm-hmm. Even though there's not much profit on it, they're trying to make something, and people are like, oh my God, it's so expensive. And it's like, yeah, but it's also really cheap compared to its PC counterparts. Meta has set a bad bar. It's a race to the bottom. I don't want a race to the bottom price-wise.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. I definitely hear that. And then this is why I'm actually leery about this headset as well. I definitely share the same thing. Like I said, obviously, I share that viewpoint as far as price point and the race to the bottom. I also question this thing's existence. Like I said before, man, like the Quest 2 is still out there. We have the Quest 3, which is still not being utilized properly as a Quest 3, as right now. Anyways, everything on Quest 3 is still Quest 2. So outside of the mixed reality stuff, which is obviously better thanks to the color pass through and higher resolution or higher res lenses that were the LCD behind it, OLED behind it, whatever.
No, it's LCD.
Is it? Yeah, too many facts are going through my brain. Anyways, but we still haven't seen the Quest 3 utilized in any way that maximizes the potential for the headset. So the idea of releasing a lesser quality headset, it seems really redundant at this point in time. Like it just seems like it's totally unnecessary, especially with the Quest 2 being out there. So I understand like the cost is a factor. I understand if you can get this thing down to half the price of a Quest 3, then there's definitely a conversation to have there in regards to adoption rate.
So here's the question: what do you lose? What does Meta take out of the Quest 3? Because I agree with you. They have to keep anything processing power to play games. I think has to stay the same. Not only because they're going to want to mass produce this in line with the normal Quest 3, to get their prices down, but it's like they need it to play video games. They need it to be Quest 3 games exclusive. It's still going to have Quest 3 in the title. So what do they lose? I mean, I guess they could get rid of that high quality head strap.
They're not. I mean, look, yeah, the guarantee that's coming in. I don't think they can make that any lesser quality. So I'm assuming
now it's a string. It's now a string.
Just a couple twist ties.
They just give you a YouTube video to a crafting session where you make it out of construction paper.
Paper mache.
I mean, what do? They lose. They lose
lenses would be one, obviously, but I mean, I don't think they can afford to lose pancake lenses now. To go back to they go with bigger lenses, and all of a sudden it gets bigger form factor. And they can't do that. I mean, there's a whole reason why the Quest was getting it smaller. And look at Apple and then putting the battery outside of their headset. Like the VR industry is going towards like making this thing as small and as cool looking as possible. That's been the whole drive for these headsets for the last few years. So to go in any step backwards, it just feels wrong.
So I think that like if they have to remove features, the only things that make sense to me is audio. If they just pull out the audio,
like no speakers in the headset, none. Like it's all just a headphone jack. That's all you get.
You've got to do a headphone jack.
I can see that,
or Bluetooth it. I don't know how much cost savings really in that. I think the big one that jumps out at me, color pass-through's gone.
Which I don't think. I think that's I hear you.
I feel like it's anti-Quest 3 because mixed reality is what they seem to want to
That's
push.
what I'm saying. You literally just talked about this mind-blowing experience not 10 minutes ago. Yeah. And I do agree with you. Like mixed reality, I'm not writing off as being you just used the term. Oh my God, it's not niche. It's just like it's not going to move headsets. It's not. Oh my God, my brain is.
Yeah, now I'm going full.
It's just crazy. I'm just missing a stupid simple word. Anyways, it's a gimmick. Sorry, a gimmick. So we'll you go with that. So mixed reality. Up until recently, I've been like it's a gimmick. But then you see stuff like that Figmin, and like, well, there's something more to that. That's beyond just a gimmick. That's beyond a 5-minute experience. But
for me personally, it was a Quest 3 seller. Like slightly higher resolution, okay. Slightly smaller form factor, cool. I'm like, way more powerful, okay. But right now, there's no reason for that yet. Like there's not really any strong reason why I need the Quest 3 power. So for me, the mixed reality was like, even if it's gimmicky, it's like a fun new feature I wanted to play with.
Right, but I mean, with the industry, with the Apple Vision Pro, and now obviously the direction with Quest 3 as well, mixed reality is right now. It is the focused on future of these headsets. You can see there's been a huge push for mixed reality in apps and everything else because of this. So to sit there and release a Quest Lite that now does mixed reality crappier when it is Meta versus Apple in regards to this technology. Like Meta's been saying, like even Zuckerberg, after the Vision Pro dropped, he was like, the Quest 3 is better. Yeah. I mean, but he's not wrong when you factor in that price point. If you're paying, $800 Canadian dollars, $5,000 for an Apple Vision Pro or $800 for a Quest 3, yeah, is the Apple Vision Pro a better mixed reality experience? Of course it is. You're paying, 6 times the amount. But for the price point, you're getting in my personal opinion, a very comparative and competitive mixed reality setup on the Quest 3. And you said the Figmin's a perfect example. That trailer I showed, I was very impressed by. So to reduce that back down to black and white Quest 2, man, I like the pass through on the Quest 3 is it's honestly it's a breath of fresh air when I go back to the Quest 2, which I haven't done thankfully very much, or even the PSVR 2, like the black and white, it kind of sucks. And I know PSVR 2 doesn't use it for anything other than room tracking right now, so it's kind of irrelevant. But for the mixed reality stuff, go back on the Quest 2 and do like it's all cross compatible. And that blurry black and white mixed reality thing, it's awful to look at. And
I feel like if you're not color pastor, you're not in the conversation. I know that some people. I know that there's I think there's some companies that are thinking of bringing some mixed reality things to the PSVR 2. The camera quality on the PSVR 2 is not bad actually, like resolution wise. Actually, it's really not bad, but it's black and white, and it doesn't have the same effect. And if they start putting full color things in with your black and white imagery, it's just gonna be the contrast between the two. It's just I don't feel like it's gonna work. It doesn't.
They just have to make all their mixed reality black and white. Problem solved.
That's it's only like black and white noir themed things, right? So I agree with you 100%. So then it's like, okay, so where are you cutting costs? I don't know. Like
it's now only got a 40-degree field of view, so it's.
I mean, maybe you make it cheaper. I mean, one thing I said to you about the Quest 3 is that it immediately, as soon as you pick it up, it just feels like a nicer piece of tech. I know a lot of people said that the Quest 2, when compared to the Quest 1, felt a little toyish. Like it just felt cheap. It does. It feels tinny and light, and just like it felt like it was going to break if you dropped it. Although I can attest that if you run into a wall with a Quest 1, it will break. I don't really see. I don't want to lose that necessarily, but I also can't see you gaining a lot of cost savings there. I mean, it's like it was easy to see how they got from like the Quest Pro to the Quest 3 and managed to shave off $1,000 or whatever it was.
One of the rumors. Sorry, I was reading about this today, and one of the rumors is that the Quest 3 Lite or Quest 3S won't sell with controllers. So the idea, I guess, would be you can buy them secondhand, or if you want, or buy them separately, because you can buy Oculus controllers separately. But the idea is, I guess, with the hand tracking, very much along the lines of Vision Pro, where there's a lot of hand tracking
after this really cheap alternative to Apple.
Yeah, but I think that's that's exactly what it'll be. It'll be like, well, this is a cheap alternative to Apple. Like, I mean, no offense to Meta's hand tracking, but on the Quest 3, it's all right. It's better than the Quest 2, but it's not mind blowing yet. It's still finicky. If you put your hands together, do anything too crazy, it doesn't know what you're doing.
I mean, at that point, they're now pitching the device as a media consumption device like Apple, and gaming is optional.
And that could very well be the case for this headset. I mean, what if the Quest 3 Lite, Quest 3S is just that? It's gaming secondary, and social stuff and mixed reality stuff first.
What's a controller run you? Like $100, $90, $80, something like that for one? I don't know. I actually never looked up a Quest 3 controller on their own, if you could even get one.
I know you can, but I mean, let's see. Meta Quest controller. I'm not sure if it's the word.
I'm on it.
It works. Come on, let's do this. This is a terrible race. Nothing's happening. Nope. Best Buy doesn't sell crap.
Ooh. Meta Quest touch controllers. Those look like they're from the touch controllers are for the Pro, right?
Yep.
400 Canadian for two of them.
Whoa. I mean, then you get Pro controller. I've heard only amazing things about Pro controllers.
Yeah, I mean they got cameras on them, right? They're more advanced.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually don't see controllers. They're not for sale yet.
I mean, you can get them. I know you can. I'm positive you can. It doesn't really matter. I mean,
here we go. Touch controller, 100, and so basically they're 110 Canadian a piece.
Each controller, okay.
So they're the touch controllers are basically twice the price. So let's say you're looking at like, I don't know, $90 American. So
but that would drop the cost of the headset down considerably.
Let's just call it $200 for two controllers. Yeah, so that's
so now they're just selling a Quest 3 without controllers.
That would be the price there. That would be the price difference though.
I mean, that makes the most sense, because once again, I like you said, they can't take out too much of this stuff without going backwards too far. And the Quest 2 is still on the market. So they're now competing with themselves. So
yep, you're right. I mean it would be a headset position directly after people interested in the mixed reality experience. But then I feel like if you're going to do that, then like where are all your mixed reality apps, Apple or Meta? Because there's not a lot. Like there's definitely some, but there's not a ton. And I said like most of the cool shit is sitting on App Lab. Like I saw that there was a new video app that somebody was showing off. It's on App Lab as well, and it's like a TV watching app, right? So you can bring up the screen, and it has it artificially recreates the light patterns of what you're watching into your actual room.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
If the action on screen, you know, if you look around your room when you're watching TV, the flashes from the TV are replicated on in the room.
Right.
And so they're trying to create a more
like as if you had those LEDs behind your TV that people have that I may have just bought for myself.
It's like a more dynamic. It's trying to be a more realistic, dynamic viewing experience instead of, and funny, I've never watched I've never put a screen on the wall because I've played around with that, playing like with the Game Pass, and I've played around with watching movies and stuff where I've placed a screen on the wall in my room or whatever. I never once was like, you know what's missing? The flashes on the wall. In fact, to me, it's a more calm viewing experience. But I guess if you want that deep dive, into realism, I'm just saying it's just another cool mixed reality thing that people are playing with, and it's on App Lab. Kartcraft is on, I think it's called Kartcraft. I'm totally screwing that up. That's also on App Lab, which I haven't really talked about, but it's like you can create like basically like Mario Kart type tracks, and you can pick up the car, and you can if you scan your room, you can throw it on your bed and drive off your bed onto the floor and put it on the wall and drive up your walls, and you can create all the courses for it, and that's on App Lab. All the cool shit is not yet in the main store, and if you're gonna go hard after Apple, where are all the mixed reality apps? Anyways, that feels like another conversation entirely. But I think you nailed it. If that is the case, if they pull the controllers, that's it right there.
And but that's not enough now. But it's still the Quest. They still have to they still have to make it less than the Quest 3. It can't just be a Quest 3 without controllers, because that's mental. So like it has to be less than the Quest 3, because otherwise the Quest, otherwise why it's a new headset.
So they change. Well, so they changed the style a bit.
But it's the same thing. Everything's the same. It's got the same field of view. It's got the same processor, same everything. It's just no controllers.
I mean, all you have to do is drop a few grams. They just drop a few grams of it and go, no. We called it the Quest 3 Lite for a reason. It's
they'll just put a smaller battery. The battery only lasts an hour and a half now either, so it weighs less as well.
No. We took the battery out. It's Duracells now. You just plug those suckers in. It's like the Game Gear. You put in like 8 AA's and you get like an hour of game.
You know what's funny is that it's dumb as F, but if they were to actually do an external battery thing like Apple, they could potentially get away with it because of Apple. Like,
but nobody likes that part of it. Everybody,
but Apple did it. It's the same, dude. I mean, no one likes Apple's proprietary ports, but everyone's just like, oh, it's Apple. Like, who gives a crap? Like, it's Apple did it first, which means if Meta want to, they can be like, well, we're just following the market direction. Like, but it would,
I guess. But you're talking about, those are Apple adopters, people who are already in it. They're already sitting there on the iTunes. Yeah, Apple did it. It's totally acceptable. Do you like it?
I agree. Look, I'm just spitballing here, just trying to figure out. I said, to me, the idea of this headset existing doesn't make sense, because like it can't be as good as the Quest 3, because it just can't. Otherwise, Quest 3 guys are going to feel burnt by this thing, but it has to be better than the Quest 2, or what's the point? It's just it doesn't make sense in my head unless Apple is planning some kind of push for mixed reality or something along those lines. Where
that's what it would have to be. The whole thing would have to be modeled after mixed reality. I feel like it would have to launch with some apps too. Like Distract said, Apple isn't a gaming headset, though. I agree. It's not a gaming headset. It's not trying to be. It does gaming.
Well, you hear people talking about Apple all the time now. The Vision Pro I hear daily. So
the only reason I like this makes this still. I'm not saying I agree with it. This just makes a lot of sense to me. That
I tend to make a lot of sense.
Meta's, yes, all the time. That in Meta's head, they're like, yeah, direct competitor, like 1/8 the cost.
It's called the Meta Vision Pro.
the Meta Pro Vision. provision. um, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess that's what they would pitch, like, to what Distract is saying, is that Meta would just pitch it as a media consumption device for people who, like, if that's all you care about, that's all you pay for. And then the optional controllers are it's just optional. It's just, if you want to expand your gaming experience or expand your play experience on this headset, these are just optional to you. You're still way ahead. Yeah, I don't know. It makes too much sense to me. I don't like it.
Look, I agree. Like I said, to me, right now in this conversation, obviously, we're in echo chamber sometimes, but I do agree. Like I don't see how else this thing can exist. Like it just doesn't make sense to me to release a Quest 3 than a Quest 3 Lite when the Quest 3 is being so, like I said, we have yet to see a single Quest 3. No, that's not true, I guess. But we have yet to see a Quest 3 title that matters, I guess, in regards to being a Quest 3 exclusive.
Like you in chat there, just honestly, is there anything else you guys can think of?
Yeah, what are we missing, chat? What are we missing?
What could they remove from the Quest 3 to make it a Quest 3 Lite and yet still have it play all the games?
Worse tracking, only one camera. Like I don't know.
It has to play. It has to play the Quest 3 exclusives that are going to be coming, because it's still got Quest 3 in the title. I mean, like I said, with the Quest Pro, it was like, I think it was really easy when they said that they would, that not all those features would make it into the Quest 3. It was like, okay, yeah, all right, eye tracking gone, facial tracking gone, maybe not quite the same display experience. Okay, fine, cut that down too. Made it a little heavier. Sure, we'll make it a little heavier. It's for the masses. Screw them. They can deal with weight. I mean, it's already heavier than the Quest 2, so I can't even see them getting away with adding a bit of light. And honestly, what a marketing nightmare, though. Like, I just made fun of it, but what a marketing nightmare if the Quest 3 Lite comes out and it's heavier.
Mm-hmm. Well,
there's nothing light about this.
One of the coolest things about the... Am I wrong? I could be wrong about this one. I was going to say the Pico has the battery in the back. It's funny, I reviewed the thing, but I don't remember if that's actually true or not. But I'm pretty sure the Pico has the battery built in the back, because that's why you can't change out the headbands and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's a great model. Like to
I know.
change...
I'm surprised they didn't do it, but then they couldn't give you that awesome cloth head strap. They can't mess with that. They can't mess with perfection. Distract says pancake lenses for Fresnel, but that Ryan and I talked about that at the beginning of this, is that the problem with that, although I completely agree with you, that's the most common sense thing, is then you change the form factor. Like, the whole reason that the Quest 3 was thinner and more compact was that they went with those lenses. And even though it was slightly heavier, it didn't feel like it, because there was so much less on your face. I mean, he's not wrong. They could just, the Quest...
Oh, for sure.
The Quest 3 could go back to like the Quest 2's form factor, and you're just not getting, you're paying a little bit more to get just a sleeker device. That also could be very likely, but to me that also, like, it's just like, it's not lighter. I'm like, I know that's not what you're getting at when you say Quest Lite, but if it's heavier, you can call it the Quest Lite.
The Quest Heavy.
you need to call it the Quest S or something.
And on this note now, and obviously it's the 3S is the big rumor, but that was based upon a leak. But I also have a problem with the way Quest is naming their headsets, because we had the Quest, and we had the Quest 2, then we had the Quest Pro, which was not a Quest 2 Pro, it was the Quest Pro. Now we have Quest 3, now we have Quest 3 Lite. They just need to stick with just,
then they'll come up with the Quest Pro 2.
Well, and even with just Quest 3 Lite. So, and obviously on this podcast, you guys know, like, we're not the biggest fans of the current VR gaming market in regards to the fact that everything is just built for the Quest 3 first. So we're getting a lot of these games still nowadays that just don't feel like the fully realized VR games that we want from our headsets. And that's fine. It's the market. But the idea of making a lesser power, assuming this thing does have lesser, if they throw in lesser RAM or something just to make this thing lesser in any way, now these developers who, once again, even developers for Quest 2 and Quest 3, there's the issue of the Quest. If you make a game for Quest 3, it still has to work on the Quest 2. So it's still just the Quest platform. But all the Quest 3 updates are being applied to the Quest 2 still, even though you don't see them. So there's, the game size is increasing, whatever else. So now now these developers have to build for the Quest 2 and the Quest 3 and the Quest 3 Lite, depending upon what changes there. It's messy. I think it puts developers in a weird position to like balance this stuff out as well.
Which is why it absolutely, whatever they bring out as the Quest 3 Lite, the whatever they call it, absolutely has got to play Quest 3 games at the same level as the current Quest 3. Like it needs, they need to be able to move. I mean,
Right.
I'm sure Meta's pretty anxious to move into that space fully so that the developers can take advantage of the hardware.
And here's my concern now, and this is the whole PlayStation Pro, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X, and Series S, where you're still building towards the lowest common denominator. And if this thing does only have 4 gigs of RAM now, and now they have to they have to make sure these games are running on the Quest 3 Lite first before the Quest 3. It just feels like there's these potential barriers to still getting the best experiences we can get, and putting the onus on these developers who we see constantly are VR games now are almost never released in their final product. I mean, that's gaming in general, but VR especially, it seems like games release feedback is like, oh, this is garbage, and then the developers spend months. I just covered Foglands, and even both in Mixture, both games are not new, and the developers have been spending time to improve and make them better in some way, shape, or form, and it's still this work in progress to maximize. Hellsweeper is a great example of that for PSVR 2. Apparently now, the game I think also released in August last year, on PSVR 2. Well, on all headsets, but PSVR 2 version was basically a Quest 2 version with slightly better frame rates and stuff. And from what I've seen from the new footage, it's very much on par with the PC version. But this is a game that they spent, what are we at, April? So like 8 months fixing.
Yep.
My point being is that this puts more pressure on devs to build for more headsets or adapt their games for more headsets. This is just messy. I'm getting a bit sidetracked here, but messy. You're reading a lot.
I'm just reading comments and just trying to keep up what people are saying there. Someone talked, Shades of Grey talked about dropping the resolution down to Quest 2 levels. I can't see them taking a step back like that. I'm not saying I necessarily disagree with that as being something that one could do. I don't see them dropping down. It's just
they could use a lesser panel. I mean, they said they could go with the I can't have the terminology now, but for every pixel in the Quest 3, there's 3 subpixels behind it.
Yep.
And then the PSVR 2, there's only 2 subpixels behind it. So there's these subtle changes between headsets as far as so they could reduce costs that way, I guess. But
when we're talking about getting the price down by hundreds of dollars, there's that's the other thing to keep in mind. There's only a few things that make sense, and losing the controllers makes a lot of sense. Even though it definitely be, the headset would really be going after a different market with that.
I mean, it'd have to be called the Quest MR or something like that. Or
they'd be going after the same. To me, they'd be going after the same market that didn't seem to be interested in adopting headsets until Apple did it, and that was because we saw Vive try to do it, right? And I can't remember the name of that thing. Was it the Flow?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Right, and
well, that was a glorified meditation headset for $600. That thing did nothing. I mean,
it's this idea of just a media consumption and mixed reality kind of device for the office space and such. I feel like you can't drop the quality of your screen, especially if it's a media consuming device. They want you to be watching movies in this and using virtual mixed reality items in your office space, like monitors and stuff like that. That's what Apple's going after. You can't drop your resolution of your screen and your lenses. I mean, that's the whole point of they need to stay as close to Apple as they can. So the only thing they can drop are things that doesn't really matter in the Apple comparison, and that's the controllers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think these are all valid.
They'll downgrade back to Shades of Grey said downgrade to the Quest 2 controllers. I said they downgrade back to the old Oculus Go or the Samsung Go. They had those little they just tracked your axis. They couldn't actually track your controller.
But here's the thing: I don't think the Quest 3 controllers are. First of all, I don't think they're a huge upgrade. I mean, if you're getting any upgrade in tracking, a lot of that is really just coming from the extra cameras on the headset and the placement of them, and just.
I do like that the battery meter on them is in mixed reality, so you can't see the battery meter when you're looking at them, but in VR you can.
I just like these. Like just what Shades are saying, like these are not the touch controllers from the Quest Pro that had their own camera tracking built in.
No.
These are just the next iteration of what was on the Quest 2. And like if you look at the price of them in the store, they're not cheaper. So they're about the same price point. So I don't see that as being a big cost saving point either. If they were the touch controllers, totally. But like they already made that concession when they made the Quest 3 and didn't go with the Pro controllers.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. So I think we're kind of done with the Quest. I think we've kind of beat this horse to death.
I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, let's move on here. PSVR 2 2.0, it's coming. Yeah, woo!
Oh, yeah, you heard it here first.
The production halts for all of good reason.
Breaking news.
Ryan
and I wanted to talk. We wanted to talk about the idea of a V2 PSVR 2 because it gets talked about all the time, and obviously, like Ryan's joking, but with the rumored production halt, which
go Bloomberg.
could be total bullshit, or it could just be the way production flows on things. I mean, we don't know. You could spin that any way you wanted. It's still inevitable. We saw a V2 on the PSVR 1, and so the idea that Sony would do a tweaked version is also a possibility. And I mean, honestly, who knows? I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility that Sony's looking at the PSVR 2 going, this is just not selling the way we wanted it to. We don't want to give up on this. What do we need to modify? And one of the things that keeps coming up in all the groups is it's too expensive. It's too expensive. It's the price is too much. And I always counter this with, all right, Sony's barely making a profit on this, and you really can't ask a company to go take a massive loss on this, because I don't think that's just bad business. This is not what you do, and they're not going to make it up in the back end like Meta might through like data. And I just don't think that they would try to make it up on the software side of things. I don't see that being a thing. So it's like, all right, same question as the Quest 3. What are you willing to lose?
PSVR 2 Lite. All right, eye tracking's gone. No games use it anyway, so what the hell's the point? Dynamic foveated rendering? Forget about it.
Crowd riot.
No, I mean obviously, I think assuming like a V2 would be like improvements. It really, there's like, to me, there's like realistic and unrealistic expectations. I mean, to me, the biggest one would have to be the lenses. Of all the things in the headset that bother me or irritate me the most about that thing, it's the sweet spot.
Sweet spot, Mira. I mean, of course, people talk like most of the things people complain about this, and comfort is still like on a person by person basis. The only thing that people really have to complain about this thing, besides the wire, is all down to their lens choice.
Yeah, largely. And I mean, and I know just changing to Pancake as well isn't like it's not a night and day thing. There are trade-offs to that as well. There's more positives than negatives, but there are negatives with Pancake lenses in regards to like the light. The Pancake lenses are typically darker because of the way they reflect light, so you need like a brighter LCD. But that being said, I think most PSVR players as well, like if you dumb down the brightness just to kind of reduce that mirror effect and reduce that
so how about this
reprojection a little bit?
Yeah.
You can, if it was darker.
Yeah, okay, to get where, yeah, okay. So but here's what I would say. Okay, look at, I feel like there's two conversations here.
Look it.
And I want to be careful that we don't tread into one and into the other, because I want to get into that as well. But I just preface this by the fact that I get drawn into debates that I shouldn't on Facebook too many times, where I see people going, they say it needs to be cheaper. The headset needs to be cheaper. But the same people are saying, but needs to be wireless.
See, and
it needs better lenses. And it's like, okay, you can't have both. because like right off the hop, I say let's just talk about if Sony needed to get this cost down. If we assume that Sony needs to drop their price by $200, what do they get rid of? I would say the most obvious thing is go out with an LCD panel, get rid of the OLED. And I wonder what the cost. I wonder where it balances out is if you go LCD, but go with the Fresnel lenses, or sorry, pancake lenses. You go with pancake lenses. You go with better lenses with an LCD screen. So now you're basically a Quest 3, display wise. I don't know.
Yeah, but you said I don't know about cost either.
I don't know what the breakdown cost is on
Yeah.
that. I'm going to assume it's less. I would assume you could drop your price down there. I guess what I'm saying is we all like, as PSVR 2 owners, the OLED's nice. We all like it. But if we feel like the headset's just too darn expensive to get people into it, then is it worth it? And do we really care? Because I'm telling you, I don't know. I'm sorry, but when I put on my Quest 3 display, unless I'm going back and forth side by side, I find the Quest 3 a better viewing experience because I'm always struggling with that sweet spot, especially putting the headset on other people, trying to sell them on the experience of, say, the PSVR 2. I'm always having to run the eye tracking program just so I know they're wearing it right, because I don't like it's got to be just right there, and I don't want to lose eye tracking. Like I feel like if I'm like, there's certain things I'm not willing to lose on the PSVR 2. Don't want to lose eye tracking, and I don't want to lose the DualSense controllers. Like those are and I
my
don't
problem
wanna,
is
I'm not willing to
how
lose
few
field of view.
games use them. This is my argument. I'm by. I don't want to lose any of these features either. But in all honesty, like how many games utilize dynamic foveated rendering? My understanding is very, very, very few. And even with the Sense controllers, yeah, it's cool. Like when they rumble, but like almost no games actually use the haptic feedback. Like it actually had the resistance in the triggers. So
the ones that most of the games that
I get it. The ones that use it obviously are maximizing the headset. I understand that.
Most of the games that matter do use it.
I know, but then this is my problem with this is my general problem with the headset as it is the fact that so many of these games don't utilize the tech. It's baffling how many games don't utilize haptic triggers for me. Like I get not using the whole Unity thing in dynamic foveated rendering, which apparently has been somewhat remedied, once again based upon Madison and the fact that the Unity dropped their update and Madison managed to put their game to 90 hertz, go from 60 or 120 reprojected to 90 native in 6 days.
Here's the
so
problem.
My point being is that potentially, I guess that barrier might be down more, so we might be seeing more of that utilized now. Finally,
I agree.
But up to this point, we haven't. I guess is kind of the argument I was making.
But I feel like the why don't we see the DualSense controllers used more often?
Lazy devs.
It is. No, it totally is. I mean, it's lazy and devs trying to do it as cheap as possible. It's I feel like it goes hand in hand with the complaint that we see that so many of these games, the PSVR 2 is becoming a Quest port machine. And I think that for people who, depending on what side of the argument you fall on, is whether the PSVR 2 has lots of games or the PSVR 2 has no games, almost 100% of the time, whether someone is on side, like if they think the PSVR 2 has tons of games, chances are they didn't have a Quest or didn't use it, or they didn't have a PC VR headset and they didn't use it. Like I feel like, especially on the Quest side, most of the people who think the PSVR 2 is just like flooded with great games, it's because they're loving all these Quest games are new experiences, and there's quite a few really good games in that collection of them. But if those are not new games to you, then obviously your expectations or your satisfaction with the headset are going to be vastly different. Where I'm going with this is that so many of these games that are ported, they're almost like, so many times we hate it, they're almost direct ports of the Quest to the PSVR 2. Yeah, there's been no effort given to usually visually enhance these games. Why the heck would they spend time trying to put in haptics and program in how the game reacts with all the controllers? They just don't. They're just out for cash grabs. But like the games that matter, man, they matter. Like I like this is not a VR thing, but I've been playing Helldivers. Maybe I've talked about it before.
Oh my god, I'm already sick of it.
I'm not going to stop talking about it. But like, for those of so some of the people in my group that are playing on keyboard and mouse, and I'm talking to you, Jenna, or those of you playing on PC and just using a controller, you're missing out on like 25% of the experience. Like the way those explosions feel in the DualSense controllers, and the way the machine guns feel, and the sniper rifles on the heavy trigger, and just that whole and in VR, that's it's so important. So I'm not willing to lose them. Like I feel like there are things that the PSVR 2 brings to VR that are next gen and differentiated as being like a reason to own it. The controllers are one of those things. The eye tracking, it's so important. Like, yeah, it needs to be utilized more, but it can't be taken out. Sony needs to go the exact opposite. They need to be like enforcing it. They needs to be almost mandatory that they utilize that tech. I mean,
I agree.
And they need to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like I said, more games should, like I said, that was all the big hype when this thing, adaptive triggers and the sense controller is amazing, like you said. And to see these these sense controllers not being utilized, like, yeah, they rumble. Most games rumble because that's parity across headsets. So yeah, it shakes a little bit, and that's nice. And I always appreciate the headset rumble whenever it's used. I always love it.
But I'm willing to lose it. I'm willing to lose that, even though I
wouldn't. I actually wouldn't be, because every time the headset rumble, I remember when I was playing some horror game and it was just like lightning, it was a thunder, and it was just the subtlest little. I was like,
every time it happens, every single time it happens, it makes me go. Even when the headset turns on, it's like, I'm like, yeah. Like, I mean, for those of you who didn't know this, you have to turn that on in GT7, by the way. If you can turn it on, and then when you hit walls and other cars, you get it. And it's that, I'm like, oh man, it's like, and I mean, Resident Evil 8, I've told you this story before, but man, blew my mind. I said, it takes a lot to impress me. It was a little thing. I was in the shooting range in the tutorial of Resident Evil 8 Village. They gave me the shotgun. I was like, okay, cool. I could feel the weighted trigger. Like, I could feel that I had to I was feathering the trigger, and I could feel that I actually had to pull the trigger on the shotgun. So already I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I remember I shot it, and it went blam, and the screen shook a little bit, and the headset went, and I was like, ah! I remember just like, yeah, bring it on. Like that was just a moment that, like, I don't want to lose from the headset. I get it. But if I had to lose a rumble motor in the headset, but I go back to my original point. I feel like the biggest thing you could get rid of the OLED. I'm all for OLED screens. I would never buy a TV screen at home again that's not OLED now. Now that I've seen an OLED TV and the richness of color, I don't want to lose it. But I also know a lot of people don't see the difference. They don't, like, I mean, half my friends can't even see the difference between 1080p and 4K. They're like, oh, I don't mind playing games at 30 frames. I don't care if they're 60. Like, a lot of people just don't. Duh. This looks good to me.
Hey, I'm still rocking the 1080p TV over here, so you shut up.
You're one of those people.
Well, no, I just can't. I'm frugal. Frugal? That means, like, I'm cheap, right? Yeah. Until my TV dies, I'm not. No, I'm good.
I know. I got another friend just like you. But what I'm just saying, like, the Quest 3 looks pretty damn good, and I'm actually one of those people that gets pretty. I'm pretty anal about resolution and frame rate, and I feel like I still think you could get that out of the PS if we're talking like a couple $100 of savings on the PSVR 2, to remove like the head rumble and the screen, and then you went with better lenses. And now it's a headset that's like actually cheaper than the system.
What's funny is something I was gonna say is what I'm not sure if it needs it yet, because we haven't seen the PSVR utilize this, but mixed reality. We talked about it with pass through on the Quest, but with black and white pass through on the PSVR 2, like with this push to mixed reality, and the reports are that mixed reality apps are in development for the PSVR 2. Having color pass through to me makes a ton of sense moving forward.
So now we're getting into the which this is the other side of the conversation.
Right.
If we got a V2 and we weren't looking at it from a perspective of cost savings. Let's say we're looking at it more as a PSVR 2 Pro. That becomes very different because, yeah, I'm thinking color pass-through. Absolutely. Better lenses. Absolutely.
Automatic IPD. And I'll say it again. The one thing I love about the Pico 4, the Pico 4 uses it. It actually it measures your eyes and actually just you hear it move to match your eyes. So like if a new user goes on there, it's not messing with the stupid dial again and that stupid screen with your wobbly eyes on that PlayStation VR 2 because your eyes never look proper. Mine never do. I'm not sure if I'm just googly eyed. Whenever it's like, oh, the button got moved. You want to do that? I'm sorry. Adjust the headset so it's straight. And then my eyes are always like cartoony, like looking like a chameleon. But I get it to work.
You know what's weird is I actually feel the headset always has to be a little bit like this on my head. I'm like,
it always seems like that to me too, right?
Are my eyes actually like not level?
Most people are. If you look at yourself in the mirror, yeah, most eyes are a little bit off. But I just totally brain farted. Yeah. But the automatic IPD reading on the Pico 4, I'm like, dude, I said before, but it was like I was wearing the future.
Yeah, where it goes. I mean, no,
amazing.
But how does it not do that? Like, I'm sorry, but this is the crap. Oh man, I know I'm gonna repeat myself. But I'm doing it anyway.
Well, dude, I mean, Quest 3's got their stupid like 3 choices,
and then I'm really into VR and I'm really into 3D printing, and both of these markets. It's like there are some of these, like something comes out like the Quest, not the Quest, but like the Apple, and it's like, and it just does some things that it just should do for you. And the 3D printing market's the exact same way. Like my buddy just bought a new one called a Bamboo Labs printer. Not to get into this, but like you start it up, and it just goes. It literally auto levels itself, and it detects that the first line is properly, and if it's not right, it fixes it, and then it prints perfectly. Whereas on my 3D printer, I spent like half a day trying to level this thing and try to figure out why it wasn't doing what it should do. So when you get back into the VR world, of course it should do an auto IPD. It's entirely about your visual experience. And they're going to leave this up. I don't know what my IPD is. You're like, don't just do it when it looks right. I don't even know I don't know. Like, that's why I said the eye tracking on the PSVR was actually quite great. Because I use it to know my eyes are where they should be.
Mm-hmm.
But why can't it do that automatically? Like, why can't a new user go in and as soon as it detects that the eyes are out,
yeah,
it centers the eyes?
Yeah, I agree. And
why wouldn't you do that?
It's in the Pico 4, and the Pico 4 is not an expensive headset. It's not like this thing is like breaking down banks. It's so why not?
PSVR 2, which is supposed to be PSVR 2 for like the masses. It's like for the console crowd, and console people expect plug and play, no hassle.
Yeah,
and you're making hassle. I know you just like triggered me. I'm like,
it's crazy. Well, it's that notification. It's like, oh, that dial's been touched since the last time you put the headset on. I'm like, well, I didn't touch it, but all right, let's do this again, Sony. Let's spin this thing till it works again. And then it's like, I mean, I wish I had a lock button. Honestly, why the hell doesn't that it's so easy to hit that?
Have you seen what's happening in chat? They're saying you're a lizard person, and it's like people are backing them up too.
That's okay. I'm okay with that. we will rule you all very soon.
Lizard
starting
people.
With this pod.
Lizard people. For those of you who watch the Y-Files, you get that. But anyways,
but yeah, so
I'm off on a tangent about IPD.
It's not a tangent. It's relevant.
I know. But yes, I would like the PSVR 2 V2, but then some of this is software too. So patch it. It needs to be more user friendly, and a lot of that also goes along with getting rid of that stupid sweet spot. Like it is, for a headset that is supposed to be for like incredibly consumer friendly for a console crowd, and the fact that it's going to be passed around the living room, like because that's like that's what my greatest memories of the PSVR is sharing it around the headset because it's usually on a console in a living room on a TV with a social screen. And you've made it a chore. It's a freaking chore. And I can't even see the social screen.
Yeah.
Until it's on their head and they're in a game.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know how they went backwards on that.
Like
that was one of the best features of PSVR 2 was like, yeah, I can share this with people easily, and it's not easy.
It's not easy. And so I mean while we're talking about what I'd add to the PSVR 2, it's like, I mean, I think the big ones are better lenses. Yeah, more just more user friendly, like more automated aspects of the headset so that it just works for the user that goes on and it's a perfect experiences, right? Obviously wireless.
Look, wireless
Um,
is that's a pipe dream. That is like wireless is to me. Wireless is not in the conversation. Yeah, I would love 100%. 100%. I would
I know.
love wireless, but it's that to me. That's ridiculous for
I
all the reasons we said before. Like
know.
your Wi-Fi, like have to be a direct wireless tether to the PS5, without any without any latency
It
whatsoever. Or
wouldn't be.
you're
It would
it's
have to. It would have to go to your router, and I
and that's what
just
I'm
can't.
saying.
I guess again, it's anti-console. I cannot see them releasing a headset where your experience was based on you having the right router.
Right.
Now, I mean, in a dream world, would I love to see it just as an option, so that it's still primarily a tethered headset, but you could remove the wire and go wireless, and then like the Quest, where it's like results may vary, and they could even tell you that like right when it pops up, like results will kind of like no different than using remote play. Even with the new handheld device that Sony, the Portal. I mean, it's the same thing. It's like results are going to vary based on your network.
Mm-hmm.
So Sony's not above doing that. I just feel like it can't be an only wireless headset. But then this is again dreamless. It's like, yeah, you need to bring that price down, but I need it to be wireless. So okay, so you need an onboard GPU now to be able to manage the whole like wireless process
Right.
and the transmission
Well,
of that.
and it actually even gets messy now with the whole PC compatibility now because, like, sure, the PC with the wire thing that's coming, but now you throw wireless in there. Now this thing has now the new PSVR 2 we'll call it, now has to be also be wireless with your PCs now as well. Or now the older wired headset will work on PCs, but the newer one won't. Like, it gets this is a very messy conversation now.
But the conversation becomes full circle because people are like, well, look at the Quest. It has like all the guts inside it, and it's got color pass through, and it's got wireless capabilities, and it's got this, and it's got that. So why can't Sony do it and release it at this price point? It's like because Meta
Yeah,
is setting bad
because
expectations.
Meta. This is because Meta.
Because if you take Meta out of that equation, the PSVR 2 is a bargain. And this comes back to the why, Mike, again, full circle in the conversation, as we do come to in the final stretch of our pod, is I don't love the idea as much as I love the idea of people getting cheap shit. I don't love the idea of like what kind of optics that creates. It sets a precedent for what people think a headset should be worth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a space that no one else can get into then either. It's like, how many people say like, I wish Meta wasn't my only choice. Meta is creating an ecosystem where they're subsidizing the cost of this headset so drastically, it's not even worth it for anyone else to get into it. Like if I'm Valve and I'm looking, and let's say Valve did want to go after the Quest, they're not going to go in at that price point. No way, not a chance. They're probably going to be $800 to $1,000.
Yeah. No, I mean that I mean the index. I mean the index. I think you still get it. It's still $1,000. Like, and it's not. It's an aged headset, but even with the HPV reverb and all those other premium brand VR headsets, they were never cheap. Never. And half those are all wired too, like lighthouses, everything else. Like, blah, blah, I know the technology is like it's improved in the last few years, but my point being is that PC headsets for the most part, premium ones have been expensive. I mean, even the DPVR is what they make a headset now as well. It's on the cheaper end of things. I think it's like $400 or $500. So right along the same lines as a PSVR 2, anyways. But it also is not nearly as good as like the Reverb 2 and the Index. I can't remember now. I don't follow these guys too closely, but my point stands is that premium VR costs money. It's just that simple, and you can only dumb down the experience so much before you start to really hurt that experience. And VR doesn't need to hurt itself any more than everything else is already hurting it anyways. And that's comes back to the problem with the Quest 3 Lite and the potential for dumbing down the PSVR 2 just to to make it smaller and get it more hands is the idea of you're sacrificing the quality of the the VR game or experience you're playing just to get more headsets out there. And I don't agree with that. We don't have enough quality experiences as it is to start hurting, to start downsizing these headsets to get them in more households.
Now,
The math doesn't make sense, because then they're going to wear this thing and be like, well, I mean, I guess it's okay, but they're now playing a neutered version of what they should be playing.
now
It's like giving someone a PSVR 1 right now and be like, it's not awful, but like, it's not amazing. You know, we've moved on.
You're solid. I feel so. Someone said it in chat, but I mean, if you guys watch, you know, I've said this for many, like the last year probably, is I still think the solution is, and this could be a Meta thing too. I mean, honestly, I think it's more likely to be adopted by Meta than it is by Sony, but I think Sony needs it more, because they're not playing the data game that Meta is. I think they need to look at some kind of a plan, like a subscription plan. And I don't remember who said it. I'm sorry. Whoever mentioned it there said the same thing that I've been saying, is that you could even somehow kind of offset this and blend it into a gold membership. You could even make it a VR gold membership, or not a gold membership, sorry, a PS Plus membership, like a VR version. Like they've already got a couple of tiers. Make a VR version, and you throw in some free game a month too. You know, like a bonus game a month, like they do with everything else on the Plus. But that, like, part of your payment went towards, you know, a 3-year plan on your headset, or maybe you paid a couple $100 for a down payment on the headset, and the rest of it was through your monthly subscription. Like, right? I thought it was U-shaped. And I'm a firm believer in that. Like, if we did not have phone plans, we would be nowhere near where and how quickly we got with cell phone adoption period, and then obviously smartphones. Like, if people just had to eat a $1,000 to $2,000 phone, not only would, like, way less people would have it, it would also be a very elitist device, because it would only be for rich people. And they made it cheap for anyone to get one, because they could walk into a store and pretty much get one for free, and then just pay a fee monthly. And it was like, oh, I'm also paying for my plan. So that was the tangible. It was like, I'm paying for data. Right. No, you're not just paying for your data service. You're also paying for that phone. And that's how they could bundle it into a PS Plus. They're like, well, I'm paying for the premium PS Plus. Yeah, you're also paying for that headset. But that's how you get it in. Like, I mean, that's how you would get especially a lot of younger people, and a lot of people who aren't going to go, you know, that deep into their pockets for a peripheral, for you know, a device that is definitely like, you know, what's the word, boutique-y. I mean, I don't understand why no one's done it yet.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, you know, I understand. Yeah, no, I hear you.
Like, and that's how you offset the prices. You don't make it an upfront cost. And I've taken it even further, especially with, say, Meta, which is why I say that they'd be the first ones to do it, is that they're releasing these headsets almost like Apple and Android release phones. I guess Android technically release phones, but like Samsung and Apple. Like, every time they brought out a new Quest, you could re-up your plan. Yeah, give me that new one. I want that new thing. I'll just keep paying my monthly thing, and you keep giving me the new thing. Yeah. And don't tell me how much I've actually spent.
Just bleed it into my bill. Bleed in my bill.
Right?
Yeah. No,
like I said, they could blend it with some games too, like sometime a PS Plus thing where you got the games, you paid for your VR headset. It would be for the VR adopters, right? And it's like, why would you not think about doing it if you're not getting the sales you want? And it's ticket shock. And I mean, and maybe relaunch it with your V2 that has wireless functionality as an option, better lenses, and a smaller form factor. Because let's be honest, why is it that big? The PSVR 2 is so bulky.
It's because of the lenses, man. It's because of the lenses.
It's bigger than the PSVR 1. Yeah. Like, it feels light and flimsy. Like, it feels like it's got extra, like, just size because it's like
Yeah, and considering how light it is too, like it does feel like there's a lot of space inside that headset that's not being utilized.
and you can
it
tap,
does.
tap, tap. There's a lot of space in there. It doesn't feel full of stuff. Anyway,
You should watch a disassembly video. Maybe we're wrong. They have them out there.
What's this?
Disassembly video. Like someone's taken, right, and see what's actually going on inside it.
Definitely. I know this for a fact because when I was trying to make the thumbnail today, I had a heck of a time trying to find anything with the PSVR 2 that like looked like transparent because I was trying to go for the like we're on the drawing board, schematics and
schematics.
and yeah, so I obviously found something, but that was tough, and I did see a lot of breakdowns, and it still looks like there's a lot of space in there. I still feel like they could have just sucked that thing in there. It's like they were always like, yeah, we want you to feel what you're paying for.
Everyone liked the comfort of the PSVR 1, so they're like, we'll just keep it the same.
That's a bunch of headset right there, and they didn't keep the same. I don't want to jump on the discomfort of the PSVR 2 because I still find it a pretty comfortable headset, but there is something about it. Somehow it grabs my neck in a way that makes me have a headache sometimes.
Dude, it's because of that sweet spot. It's because you don't want to wear it the way you want to wear it because you're constantly adjusting it a little bit the wrong. Like that's the problem. Because the head doesn't quite fit in your head exact right because you're like, this fits great. And then you're like, oh shit, I gotta move it up or down slightly. And that just shifts all the weight in a way that your big, giant, huge cranium doesn't like.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, wish list. I have no idea what the future holds for the PSVR 2 as far as a V2 goes.
I doubt it. Honestly, I mean, as far as this conversation has been, I just don't see it. I do think that the PC VR announcement or compatibility announcement is just kind of, to me, it just kind of shows that they're gonna ride this headset out until they decide they either want to go for a PSVR 3 or are out of VR. It's one of the two at this point, I think. But I don't think they're gonna change much. I mean, it's already. I just don't see them changing anything. It's honestly, it's the same thing as back in PSVR 1 where it's like, how are we still using move controllers? Like everyone expected.
I know. And we thought, yeah, I know. Isn't it? Like if somebody had told me, in like year 1 or 2 of owning a PSVR and said, you know what? Sony's never going to give you analog sticks for these, no matter how, and they're like, well, they're going to give you this gun thing. And it's going to be cool. But you're only going to be able to use it for like 10 or 15 games that shoot, and those are going to be the analog sticks they give you. And you're going to be like, well, couldn't they just do like a little clicky thing or an add-on thing? And you're like, no, they're not going to give you anything.
Yeah.
But like, isn't everyone going to complain about it, including like all the developers? Oh yeah, everyone's going to complain.
Yeah.
And they're never going to give them the. Okay, that sounds.
Yeah.
Good. I don't believe you. But yeah, I mean, you still can't even buy controllers for the PSVR 2, like replacement controllers.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to make of that. It's either a really bad thing. It's Sony's just like,
no, and it sucks is my left controller has a tiny bit of drift now.
I can fix that.
And I have like the spray and stuff.
Yeah,
I have that.
Is it working?
Yeah, I haven't used it yet because the drift.
Contact cleaner. If you don't know, if you get any drift, contact cleaner and wiggle it around.
But
at least to fix it temporarily.
I did that with my Quest 2, and it's not working. And I haven't done it did I do it? I don't know. It doesn't matter. My point is, it's drifting, and it's not going to get better. And the problem.
Shut your mouth, Gray Matter. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be calling out chat. You don't talk crap about the 3D rudder. The 3D rudder.
I'm looking at it right now. I can still see it.
Gem.
But my point being is that if I either have to, if I have to send the controller to get fixed, I have to send the whole unit to get fixed. It's not just I can't. So it's like, do I just go and buy a new PSVR 2 in the meantime because I have this channel?
I know. I know it's crazy.
What do I do? Right?
Well, I have heard that if you send them in for warranty. And
I'm outside of warranty now. I mean, I've had this thing for over a year.
I don't know how that works. I don't know if you can still send them in. Like, can you still just send them in? Like, I know I'm out of warranty, pay for it, but I need you to fix it.
Yeah, no, they charge you. Yeah, they charge you. It's
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, they seem to have controls. I don't really know.
But you lose the headset too. They take everything back, is my understanding. So it's like, even your controls must like, give us everything. I'm like, ugh, like, why? and then I got to pay to fix this controller. That's
Do you know why?
I-
Do you know why they give that to you? Because they bring it in. They're like, okay, so it says that this and this is wrong, and the tech guy's like, I don't know, give him
Yeah.
a new one.
yeah, it's yeah. I said Shade's great. Just said the same thing. Brian just had to do that. He had to send his whole unit in and bought a second PSVR 2 because obviously he can't wait for this thing to come back.
Ridiculous.
It's insane. It's insane. And like so I need to get like buy an extended warranty just so I can return it in a month.
Like I remember in the PSVR days, all you could find was the movie.
Well, that was the big thing is you couldn't find moves. If you're in Europe and stuff, you couldn't find them anywhere.
Canada, I could find.
Oh yeah, it's no problem. Is there? You just go. Yeah. Oh yeah, they're everywhere. Used and everything else.
Yeah. Right.
And the PS3 moves worked as well, right? Yeah. So.
So I don't know. It's crazy to me. All I'm saying is that like one could conspiracy theory the reason you can't find PSVR 2 controllers is that they're making changes to them.
Yeah. Okay. Nope.
For the V2, they're getting rid of all those haptics.
Nope. Like I said, I'll go back to where I was. I don't think a V2 is happening, and if it is, I don't think it'll be anything remotely like what we've talked about. I would love for me to be wrong, but I think it'll be just.
Well, yeah. Speaking of the PSVR 1,
well,
remember we got the V2 and we're like, oh my god, they're bringing out a second version. We've taken the earphone dongle and we moved it from here to here.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. That's the difference. Yes.
And I guess to go along with the fact I don't think we're going to V2 is the fact that, by all accounts, a PS5 Pro is happening, which should, in theory, increase the quality in the PSVR 2 headset as well, just as far as reprojection or anything else goes, because these games should be potentially running at native 120 hertz and blah, 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 blah. So that alone might be the upgrade. A PS5 Pro plus a PSVR 2, it just doesn't make sense.
Ryan really wants you to think of PSVR pink frilly dress underneath. It's the tutu.
The PSVR 2.
Now in pink. And on that note, maybe we should just end that.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're good. Once again, guys, everyone who joined chat, you guys are amazing and we love you. And thank you for joining us like every week because I know it's mostly the same guys. Waleed, once again, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate that immensely. And to all of our Patreon supporters and our lone YouTube supporters, je ne sais quoi. I should be thanking all of our Patreon guys like Skiva, Salvador, BC Gambit. This isn't scrolling fast enough for you to read it, but all you guys mean the world to us.
That's all you're
PSVR Zest, Meow Meow the Game Cat, whom I missed the space there, Gamer Cat, Mystery Gamer. I think all you guys are still on there. Hand of Vecna. You guys all kick ass, man. Thank you so much for your support. Idle Snake as well. You guys you help make this channel. Your funds go right back into this stuff. It doesn't, this stuff isn't free. We do have costs associated with this stuff, whether it's running the website and just stuff. Even posting this podcast costs me money every month. So it helps. Every little bit helps, and we appreciate you guys immensely. You are all the best.
Yeah.
Except you. You're talking. I'm talking about.
You. As my wife's upstairs, like, were you talking about me? Yes. Another thing that I wanted to throw out there, kind of to you actually, Ryan, because I'd like to revisit the merch thing. Ryan and I pulled the merch a long time ago. I thought
it's actually still up. But
I don't. The company that was making it was crap, and I'd like to revisit some of that merch, and so that's something I want to revisit. If you guys are interested in that, let us know. Skiva is a fuck. Anyways, guys, he is a nice guy. You're all nice people. For all of you who chat too, I really appreciate everyone participating in the chat. You guys make this fun for us too, so I don't just have to stare at this guy and talk to him. But on that,
say good night, Chris.
Good night, Ryan.
That's not what I said at all.
I know. Mixing things up, keeping it fresh.
All right. Good night, Chris.
Right.